We're going to get started. It's 5 after. If anybody else joins us, great. If not, more conversation for us to have. My name's Emily Buell. I'm one of the senior assistant directors here at Niagara University within the admissions office. I'm a freshman counselor, and I also do transfer as well. I'll pretty much be emceeing the event. You're probably not going to hear from me until the very end because we have a great group of students and faculty here to welcome you and also talk about the psychology program. We had a little meeting beforehand and I'm already blown away with everything that they've said, and it's just little snippets. And it's not even about the program, it's where they're at now, which is even better. So I'm going to turn it over to them. One last quick housekeeping, please keep yourself muted unless you're one of our panelists speaking. We will have a Q&A afterwards. So if you think of anything, either you can write it down or drop it in the chat box, and we'll come back to all of your questions after we're done through all of the panelists. But feel free to put it in the chat box and then we'll go through, and it can be for anything about the program, any of our current students, or also we have some alumni on as well. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to everybody else in psychology. So welcome, and let's kick this off.
All right. Hi, everyone, and thank you all for coming tonight. I'm Milan Rodel, one of the psychology faculty. And so the plan for tonight is to essentially give you a brief overview of our psychology program, sort of the opportunities that are available to you as students. And then I'm going to let you hear from some of our alumni and also from some of our current students who will essentially tell you about their experiences in the program, you know, what they're doing now, what they're planning to do after they graduate, right? So, and then at the end, we'll spend the rest of the time that's left over answering your questions, right? So first, we have a good deal of information also available on our website, which should be displayed on your screen. And if you ever have any questions or would like to contact us, you could send an email or call our administrative assistant, Loretta, and she will put you in touch with one of us. So many of you are here because you know, you have some interest in psychology, and many people tend to kind of equate psychology with clinical psychology specifically, which focuses on the diagnosis and treatment of mental illness. Right? But that's really only a part of what psychology is about. And so I hope that that's one you know, one new thing that some of you might learn tonight. So our program then, like other undergraduate programs, is not a clinical psychology program, but rather it provides a broad general education in psychology. Although, you know, many of our students do intend to pursue a graduate degree in clinical psychology and counseling or some other applied area of psychology, which is also kind of where most of the jobs are as well. So what is psychology? I mean, we can define psychology as the science of behavior and the mind. All of us consider psychology to be a science, one that's focused on essentially understanding the mind, how it's related to behavior. It's a field that it has very close ties to the natural sciences with a lot of, you know, similarities in the methodology that's used, including in kind of how we apply the scientific method. So kind of in general, psychologists study how people and animals act, think, learn, socialize, and develop. So all of those two are part of the field. Now, we offer two types of four-year degrees in our program. So you can work toward either a Bachelor of Arts or a Bachelor of Science in psychology. So the major difference is that the Bachelor of Science, the BS, has more coursework in biology and statistics. and it can make you more competitive for graduate school, especially for science-oriented programs. So, for example, my field of expertise is in behavioral neuroscience. That's an example of a program that the BS can definitely make you more competitive than the BA. Now, I should also point out that, a bachelor's degree will not make you a psychologist. You will need to go up to at least a master's degree to work as a specialist in the field. So in that way, a degree in psychology, is a little different from, say, a degree in chemistry or computer science. Right? So a bachelor's degree in psychology, I tend to think of it as a degree that opens a lot of doors for you. So, for example, you'll be able to apply for any job that, first of all, requires a 4-year college degree. You could also, after you graduate, pursue a doctorate or PhD in psychology. To, for example, become a clinical psychologist, someone who is licensed to diagnose and treat mental illness. But a PhD typically requires about 5, in some cases up to 7 years of additional school. So it is a big, commitment to make. There's also, you can also pursue a doctorate in other areas of psychology, which tend to be, many of them tend to be research-oriented fields. Like, for example, my PhD is in behavioral neuroscience, which is definitely focused on research, right? But there's also PhDs in other applied areas of psychology, like school psychology, for example. With a bachelor's in psychology, you can also apply for a variety of professional programs, right, including law school and medical school, right? So here you just want to make sure that during your time as an undergraduate, you take whatever courses are required. So medical school, for example, has a number of prerequisites from biology, in some cases calculus, and so forth, that you need to take. But as long as you take those courses and take the required entrance exam, in that case the MCATs, you can apply to medical school and be absolutely competitive, just the same as a biology or a chemistry major. You can also pursue master's degrees in a variety of different fields. So for example, if you want to be a teacher, you can pursue a master's in education, master's in social work, criminal justice, in business, and in many other fields. This is also an opportunity for you to even have a major change of plans or a major change in direction. So for example, let's say that you decide you want to go for a master's in computer science. You can do that, right? Even if you've never taken a single computer science course before, right? I was actually accepted into a master's program in computer science. Ultimately, I decided to complete my PhD in behavioral neuroscience, but that was an option for me. And really the difference is, coming in with no background, they would start you off by kind of taking some catch-up coursework, essentially some intro-level courses to get you back up to the level of somebody who's coming in with a bachelor's in computer science already. But it's not going to really decrease your chances of getting into that type of program, right? Because many programs seek diversity, including kind of the unique perspective that somebody trained in psychology can bring to the program. For example, there's many areas of computer science that are closely tied to psychology, like artificial intelligence, right? So overall then, again, I like to think of it as a degree that will open up a lot of doors for you and that will help you develop a skill set that a lot of employers look for and prefer. Now, our curriculum includes several core classes, including one in research methods and in statistics. As a senior in your 4th year, you're also required to take a seminar course, which I always describe as a student-run kind of discussion-based class, which is really quite a bit different from classes that you may have taken up to that point. And it's a class that's much more similar to what you will encounter in graduate school more commonly. And that's one of its intended purposes, is to help prepare you for those types of classes if you do end up pursuing a graduate education. Starting early on, though, you will also take electives from several different areas of psychology, including developmental psychology, biological, cognitive, social and cultural, and applied psychology. And here on this slide, I've just listed some of the topics you'll learn about as a psychology major. They include things like neuroscience, learning and memory, mental disorders, research methods, and statistics, including data analysis, eyewitness testimony, child development, computer modeling, visual perception, college student drinking, animal behavior, and we do have an animal lab currently with fish in the department, and other topics like stereotypes and prejudice, sports performance, and many others. Now, other than coursework, we strongly encourage you to get research experience with at least one of us, which is very important to make you competitive for graduate school, but also gives you a chance to apply what you've learned and gain practical experience. Okay. So often this might be by assisting with ongoing research in one of our labs, but some students also design and carry out their own research projects. So here's a photo of a maze that one of our foremost students, who is actually with us tonight and you'll hear from, Brian McGuire, built specifically for a study that he came up with, right? And although each of us have expertise in kind of different areas of psychology, our research also often takes different directions depending on the interests of our students. And I think one of the main advantages of our program is that kind of by remaining relatively small and personal, every student who has wanted to get research experience has been able to, and we've been able to work with them kind of more closely on a one-on-one basis to kind of help them develop their research interests. Our students also routinely present their research at national and in some cases international academic conferences. So for example, here's a photo with Dr. Bert Thompson, who is one of the psychology faculty and also the chair of the department, together with two of our former students, Amanda Gary and John Taylor, presenting their research at the annual conference of the Association for Psychological Science in Washington, D.C. And Amanda and John later both co-authored a paper that was published in the journal Psychology, Learning, and Teaching on this research, which dealt with how people interpret statistical results. And Amanda is currently finishing up her master's in school psychology. She's currently working for the Niagara Falls School District. And John is pursuing a master's in clinical mental health counseling and wants to work with people who have substance use problems. last I spoke with him, he was also planning on starting a nonprofit focused on social justice issues. And here's a photo of another one of our faculty, Dr. Tim Osberg, who is also a licensed clinical psychologist, together with students from his lab, some of whom are here tonight, including Jackie Fowlis, Anna Mundy, and I think Jamie could not make it tonight, but here they are essentially presenting. They went to New York City to present at the Eastern Psychological Association conference. Now, the last thing I wanted to mention before I let you hear from our alumni and current students is that as a part of the curriculum, you also have the opportunity to complete a practicum, right? Which is essentially an internship with one of our local partners. So there's typically a variety of placement choices, which include schools, hospitals, and other healthcare providers. And so this would essentially consist of you completing an internship of about 10 hours a week for an entire semester, which can also be extended for another semester, a second semester. So that is also an opportunity available to our students within the department. Right, with all of that said, I'll now let you hear from each of our alumni and students, starting with Courtney Dogsbeck, who was here a little bit before my time. I think, Courtney, you graduated right as I was starting out at Niagara. But Courtney is currently a doctoral candidate in educational psychology and quantitative methods. And so I'll turn it over to you, Courtney.
Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. It is my pleasure to be speaking with you today about the psychology department, which I think back so fondly of as NU's psychology program treated me well throughout my graduate studies. So at NU, I got my BA in psychology, and I was fortunate enough, based on the flexibility in the curriculum, to graduate with 2 minors, and one of them was in statistics. So when I was done and wanted to get my PhD, my educational psychology and quantitative methods program really fit well with the experience that I had at Niagara. So with the statistics minor and those courses within the department, as well as the research experiences that I had as a student, truly prepared me well for graduate school. So I used to work under Tim Osberg in his lab, and I was able to conduct 2 of my own individual designed studies alongside Dr. Osberg, and was able to present at 2 conferences on my own, as a first author. So by the time I got to graduate school, what I had noticed is that many of my peers didn't have those same experiences, and I found myself a little bit ahead of other incoming students. And it became easier over time then with that experience to publish my own papers. So what I want to stress to you, one of the 2 of many things that I truly benefited from in the psychology department was that opportunity for individualized research and mentorship with the faculty. But 2 is that personal connection that I had not only with Dr. Osberg, but with all of the faculty. So that close mentoring relationship that I had with Dr. Osberg, and the ability to approach any of the other instructors with my questions or guidance in applying to graduate school, were something that I don't think many other schools can boast about, especially larger schools. So that is one of the things that I truly enjoyed from the psychology department. And I will let the other alumni chat more about their favorite things, but I look forward to taking your questions after this.
Thanks, Courtney. And next up, we have Abby Hibbs, who took one of my classes, and I still remember, your honors thesis It was a very interesting project that you actually recently published, right, in a peer-reviewed journal, the Journal of Creativity and Mental Health, right? So, Abby.
Thank you. Hi, guys. My name's Abby. I graduated from NU in 2018. So I would love to tell you all a little bit about why I love NU so much, and especially the psychology department. I would say one of the reasons is the abundance of ways that you can get truly involved in psychology. As Dr. Riddell and Courtney said, there's a ton of ways to get involved just within the department. Dr. Riddell said, if you want to do research, it's there for you, and that's absolutely true. When I was a junior in 2017, I was able to create my own study, kind of like Courtney, and I brought up the idea to Dr. Mason, and it was because she was so willing to engage with me and hear my idea, I was able to write my own study, use real humans in my study, and now 3 years later, I've chipped away at working on it and editing it and fine-tuning it to the best that I could, and I just found out this year that it's going to be published in the Journal of Creativity and Mental Health, which is really cool and something I'm so excited to finally get a copy of. Another reason why I love NU's psychology department so much, thanks Courtney, is because of the external opportunities that exist to learn more about psychology. I remember a lot of my friends in undergrad were psychology majors at other schools, and they had said, you know, I love psychology so much, but what really stinks is that there's no internships in the field of psychology. And I remember thinking to myself, I really can't relate because there are so many internship opportunities that you can get through NU. There's so many connections in the community. I was able to do 2 different opportunities outside of NU. First, I was able to work at the Erie County Medical Center, and there I kind of played an informal role as a counselor. I had my own patients who I visited every Friday and was able to converse with them and kind of practice interviewing skills and things like that and report back to a real psychologist. I was also able to work at a research institute in Rochester, the Mount Hope Family Center. And so because NU has so many connections and because it's such a small program, you really can do things like that. And that really does make you stand out when you go on to a graduate degree, regardless of the field that you want to go into. Which kind of brings me to my next topic. I think in the major of psychology, I would say the majority of students enter the program knowing that they want to be a counselor or a researcher or a clinician. And those are so important and those are amazing careers, but there are also probably a few of us that get about halfway through the program and think, dang, I don't know if I want to do any of those careers. And then you start to have a midlife crisis. And that was me. I got about 2 years through the program and realized that I love psychology. It was the coolest thing to learn about, but I just didn't really know that I wanted to be a counselor. And so I remember walking into Dr. Osberg's office, half in tears, telling him about this. And I had this small glimmer of an idea that maybe I wanted to go to law school. And I was so scared to tell him this because I thought he'd be really mad at me. But he was so excited. And I remember him looking at me and saying, that is a fantastic idea. And there's more psychology students than you think who take an alternative route like that and pursue so many things other than psychology. And so it was because of faculty like Dr. Osberg and Dr. Mason that encouraged me to go after whatever I wanted to do using my degree, that I felt comfortable enough doing something like that. And so now I am in law school. I'm halfway through and I go to Wake Forest down in North Carolina. And I think the other coolest thing about NU and my psychology degree is that I still use it to this day in so many more ways than I thought I would have. In Dr. Osberg's class, I learned how to interview people, how to develop good interpersonal skills, and that is something I use all the time in law school, practicing how to interview clients and defendants and things like that. And even things that you would not suspect to use in the field of law, like sensation and perception, which I took with Dr. Riddell. I seriously kid you not, I use that in my law degree all the time. And so I can't say enough good things about the major of psychology and specifically at NU. NU will truly set you up to be successful in whatever you decide to do. And if you have any questions about any glimmer of something that you possibly think you might want to do with your psych degree, the NU department will support you through it and set you up to be as successful as you possibly can be. I'm really thankful for the time that I had at NU. I can't say enough good things about it, and I'm really excited for all of you to hopefully experience the same thing as well.
Thanks, Abby. And so next up, we have Brian McGuire, one of our more recent graduates. He is currently pursuing his master's in business. And Brian, earlier this year, also co-authored a paper that was published in Animal Cognition based on some of the work that he did as an undergraduate.
Oh, how's it going? Like Dr. Odell said, I'm Brian McGuire. I just graduated in May. First of all, I'm glad there's so many guys in the audience. Like, as you'll see if you join NU's psych department, out of 30 students, it's like 3 guys. I think it's the most I ever had, and it's like 27 girls. So it'd be nice to get some more guys in the classroom. So I graduated in May. I guess the first thing I'll talk about is I was a transfer student. So I came from Niagara Community College. I was there for quite a few years because I was kind of bouncing in and out. I don't think I talked for the entire time I was there in a classroom. I felt like you didn't really want to talk in that kind of environment. So for NU, it was really good for me to come to like a smaller classroom. Like I said, the classrooms are typically like 20 to 30 people-ish. So you feel kind of more like you know the people around you more. The thing I'll talk about the most is probably research. So I started doing research with Dr. Adele maybe 3 years ago in the fish lab. I feel like the best part about research at NU is you don't ever feel like you're like pigeonholed into what the professor's doing. Like you can often like think of your own ideas. Like you'll learn a whole bunch of stuff in classes and something's gonna click with you and you're gonna be like, I want to study that thing. And it doesn't matter that like your professor's not studying that currently. You can go like, Dr. Adele tell you how many times I emailed him over the course of 3 years. I mean, it's like thousands of times. I'd be like 11 o'clock at night. Hey, Dr. Adele, I got this new idea. What do you think? And like in the morning, he's like, come to my office, we'll talk about it. We'll draw it out. So one of the best things is like whatever your passions are, like you can go to like Dr. Adele, Dr. Thompson, Dr. Osberg, any of the Dr. Thompsons. There's 2, by the way. So whatever your passions are, they'll fit you. It's kind of the cool thing about NU. The other thing I think that's really important is like so working in the lab itself, you'll build relationships with not only the faculty members, but also with the students. And you'll get like a really personal idea of like them and their interests, and you kind of like snowball your ideas off one another. So like they'll be thinking about something, you can kind of bring your skills into their ideas. And like Dr. Riddell said, like I was published with Dr. Riddell and Dr. Thompson earlier this year in the Journal of Animal Cognition, so that's pretty cool. It's cool to see your work kind of culminate in an actual publication because it's not everyone gets to do that. So the next thing I'll talk about is like transferability. So I think Abby talked about it a bit, where sometimes you'll be in a psychology program and you're not sure you actually want to do this, but you're like 3 years in and you're like, okay, what do I do next? I think most people that worked in the lab, they didn't go into psychology. I know like Zach just graduated. He went in to be a chiropractor. He's going to chiropractic school now. This girl, Sarah, just graduated. She went to Notre Dame for law school. I actually don't know many people. Oh, I guess Alexis, she worked in the lab. She did go on to mental health counseling at NU. But generally, I see people kind of doing whatever. And I think the good thing about psychology is it's one of those fields where you're learning about the way people think. So for example, you learn about like John Watson, and he went on to do like marketing. So for me, with like my MBA, it really like in psychology, it plays a lot into what you'll do no matter what field you go into. You learn things about like, social work, you learn concepts in social work, you learn, quantitative analysis, which can be good in, financing or pretty much any scientific career too. So I guess the good thing about psychology is you'll learn a whole bunch of stuff from a whole bunch of different fields. And finally, I liked NU so much, I actually stayed. So my goal was to go on to like a psychology type degree, but I kind of just liked NU. Is like also very close to home, but I just kind of like the people there. So I ended up just sticking around, and now I'm doing my master's in business administration. So, and I would love to talk to anybody if you guys have any questions later. And I'll probably at the end of this, I might even link my email, my school email. So if you guys want to reach out and have any questions, I would love to talk to you about any of your concerns or questions. Thanks.
Thanks, Brian. Yeah, and so next we'll hear from our current students, starting with Casey Krast.
Hi guys, I hope everybody's staying safe and healthy. So my name's Casey Krast. I'm a senior from Hudson, New York. So I'm currently a double major in psychology and political science with minors in pre-law, philosophy, and women and gender studies. So more of the, once again, the untraditional route. So I declared my double major first semester freshman year because I knew I was always interested in psych. So during high school, I took psych courses, and then I came here and I loved it still, but then I was still always interested in law. So similar to Abby, definitely. So where I'm looking to go to is hopefully law school. So we'll see. I'll take my second LSAT in December, but we'll see how that goes too. But with NU, I've seen so many opportunities inside and outside of the classroom, and specifically in the psychology department, they're always available to meet whenever. I know I send out like 12 million emails a day asking to meet. So even with COVID, everybody's still available over Zoom, over emails. I think I sent Dr. Riddell probably like 4 emails just last night. So, but everybody is still available. There's so many opportunities. In the psychology program, I've been able to have an internship at the Mental Health Association in my town. So that was really great because I've always been familiar. So having an internship there kind of was in a different role, which was nice. I'm actually president of Psychology Club, and I did, we were officers last year, myself, Jackie, and Anna of Psychology Club and Active Minds. So there's definitely lots of opportunities to get involved in the community and outside of the community. And then I'm currently doing research with one of the Dr. Thompsons, with Dr. Bert Thompson on eyewitness research. So lots of opportunities to figure out where you want to go, to just explore interests like that. But yeah, so I'm also, myself and Hope are also tour guides. So if you have any questions about like admissions or anything like that too, I'm here. But yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Casey. So next up, we have Hope Elmore.
Hi, my name is Hope, as you just heard. I have minors in criminal justice, women and gender studies, and gerontology. As Casey just said, I'm a tour guide, so I know a lot about like this program just in general and the school as well. And then this year I became an officer for Active Minds, which is sort of our mental health group on campus, along with Jackie and Anna, and Alex, who's not here. But and then this year I also am helping Dr. Riddell in his lab, which has been going really well so far. I'm really excited about it. And I'm also a newbie peer mentor along with Jackie and Anna as well, where we sort of peer mentor the freshman seminar class that you will take as a freshman. So a lot of my opportunities here, I started off really always loving psychology, also really loving criminal justice. So I sort of knew that those two things were going to be my thing for when I went to school. But I decided overall to major in psych. I was pretty set on the fact that I wanted to become a forensic psychologist. Very, very set on that actually until this year when I turned 20 and I was like, oh, everything's out the window. And so then I now am sort of on track to perhaps pursue a criminal justice master's or a clinical mental health counseling, sort of in that in-between stage right now, figuring it out. And then like with a criminal justice master's, I'd like to do some victim advocacy things. Even in clinical mental health counseling, I would probably like to specialize in victim counseling, survivors of different kinds of trauma, victimology in general, I'm very interested in and would like to pursue. But the professors that I've had in psych have been so helpful throughout everything. Dr. Riddell and I have had some great conversations. Dr. Mason is someone that I cry to a lot, and she's just so amazing. She's my advisor. She's just so nice. And all the psych professors that you meet are so willing to help you. They all specialize in different things. So, we have Dr. Osberg, who's more of like the clinical side of psychology, obviously Dr. Riddell with, neuroscience, and then Dr. Mason with sort of gerontology and statistics. So there's so many different routes of, places that you can go and that these people understand. And I think it's just important to connect with them and make a relationship with them. It's so easy, especially with the research that I'm getting involved in now. All I had to do was I emailed Dr. Riddell and I was like, hello, what research do you have? And can I join? And he was like, oh, yep, here it is. So it's that easy. So highly recommend if you're going to pursue psych, just get involved in research or just even, looking at research and following a professor who really knows what they're doing and can help you find your own way. You don't have to pursue psych like everyone else here has said as well. But yeah, just kind of find your niche and put yourself in it, and the sky's the limit with psych. So yeah.
Thanks, Hope. So next up, we have Jackie Fowlis.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jackie Fowlis. I am a senior psychology major with minors in statistics and philosophy. So when I first got into the psych program here, I'm going to be very honest, I kind of just guessed. I didn't put a lot of effort into figuring out what my major was. I knew that human behavior was really fascinating to me, and I kind of thought of psychology as the stereotypical, oh, therapy. That's my thing. I think that sounds really good. But because I was still quite unsure as to what I wanted to do more thoroughly, I joined Dr. Osberg's lab as a clinical psychology lab assistant. So I was able to help him my sophomore and junior year on college student drinking and looking at different factors that can affect that. And recently now as a senior, I'm doing my honors thesis. So I kind of wanted to do something that I'm more interested in. So I really like the educational side to psychology, specifically with school counseling. So I wanted to see different variables on how school counseling can have an effect on your mental health. So it's really nice, like all these other wonderful panelists have said, really, you are kind of leading the way. If you have an interest in something, talk to a professor and they can accommodate you in any way. Dr. Osberg is not he is not focusing on the education side, school counseling, but he's like, I can help you. I'm here for you. And that's what I think is really valuable about the professors in the psychology department at Niagara. They're willing to help you, that they're there for you. They can lend a caring ear, that if you are crying in their office, like I have done many times, they're there for you and they want to see you succeed. When I started as a freshman, I never would have thought that research that I had done would be accepted into the Eastern Psychological Association, that I would travel to New York City, that I, if COVID wasn't in the way, should have traveled to Boston, to Philadelphia. We also got research accepted into the International Congress of Psychology. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll have a trip planned to Prague and then Vienna and then London. I never would have thought of going international. That's crazy. So it's wonderful, and I'm truly blessed to have these experiences. But also, as Dr. Riddell said, that you have an internship opportunity, and I really strongly advise anyone to take advantage of that. Actually, today, I just finished up at an internship at Niagara Orleans BOCES, working with students with special needs in a middle school setting. And when I got there, I really wasn't too sure. I didn't think that was the population for me. I was quite undecided. I know I cried to many of my friends saying, I don't know what to do. Is this even right for me? Should I go to a PhD? Should I do a master's? I think I talked to probably every professor that's in the psych department saying hey, what do you think I should do? Really trying to narrow my search down. And I really was able to find that school counseling is really where my passions lie. And I'm truly grateful for just the caring and considerate professors that the psychology department has. I think that it's a fabulous program. I highly advise it to anyone. And really, if you're curious, reach out to these professors now while you maybe are considering a couple different schools to kind of get their personal take. And I know that they'd be more than happy to assist you in any way. So thank you.
Thanks, Jackie. And so next up, we have Jamie. I think you were able to connect. Yep.
Yes, I'm here. I'm late, but I'm here. Hi, everyone. I'm Jamie Haggerty. So I double major at Niagara in biology and psychology, and I also minor in statistics. And I also am a research assistant for Dr. Mason, and we do research in statistics and gerontology. And something that I just really wanted to emphasize about the psych department is that something that a lot of people have said already, but the opportunities. So when you come into college, you're thinking about all the changes, but something you're probably not initially thinking about is preparing for what you're going to do after college. And what's so important to have on your resume is these experiences that everyone is talking about. And something that I don't think is as present at bigger schools, perhaps, is just the intense desire of professors and other faculty to get students involved. And so I had professors like reaching out to me, and I know all psych students do. We will receive emails like Dr. Thompson is looking for students for his lab, and you can join so easily. And so the psych department actually even like reached out to me with internship opportunities, helped me get opportunities for internships outside of even the topic of psychology. So like in a hospital setting and things like that, to help me specifically build up my resume. And I think that's something that comes with Niagara being a small school, is that the professors are able to know your specific desires and your specific interests and get you internships and research opportunities that are specific and are going to help build you up for what you're going to do even after college as well, whether it's a job or graduate school or so on. And so I really encourage you guys to take a good hard look at Niagara, because it's a really great school. The psych department is really fabulous, like Jackie said, and everyone's been saying, for no matter what you want to do. I actually am planning to go to medical school, and I would not change a single thing about my route at Niagara, because the psych department has helped me as much, or if not more, than the biology department with getting me prepared. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thanks, Jamie. And lastly, we have Anna Mundy.
Hi, everyone. So my name is Anna Mundy, and I'm a senior double majoring in psychology and Spanish with a minor in statistics. So today I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about two things that are the most important to me in my experiences at Niagara. So first off, like many other panelists here have mentioned, at NU it is very easy to gain research experience. The professors make it very accessible. The professors here, they also want to see you do well, and they do want to help you gain hands-on experience in the field. So my experience in research at NU has been in the clinical psychology lab as a research assistant with Dr. Osberg. I work with Jackie as well. And so my experience in the lab has allowed me to present at the Eastern Psychological Association conference for what will be 3 times now this coming March. And as Jackie said, we've presented in New York City our very first year, and it was an absolutely amazing experience. Jamie was there too, and unfortunately, like Jackie said again, we were not able to go to Boston in March or Philadelphia in the coming year, but we're still able to access those platforms through online conferences, which is a good alternative. But one of the things that stood out to me about my experiences presenting at these conferences is that I was able to meet new people from other schools, and they were actually interested in our research. So being able to talk with someone who finds your work to be as valuable and as important as you do, I think is something really special. I have quite a few friends outside of the psychology department, and I know when I talk to some of my other friends, they don't want to hear anything about stats programs and research and significant p-values or something like that. So that was something that I really valued, and I'm certainly thankful to have all this research experience under my belt, because right now I'm applying to graduate school. I'm interested in pursuing forensic psychology long term. So all this research certainly comes in handy, but research experience is something that always looks impressive on your resume. And I know Brian's pursuing his MBA, so you might not initially connect the importance of research in an MBA, but again, it's always something that's great to have experience in. But my experience in the clinical psych lab has also allowed me to be involved in a club on campus called Active Minds that Jackie and I are co-presidents in, and Hope is an officer in as well. She's our secretary and social media gal. So Dr. Osberg is also the advisor for this club. So it's a club that promotes mental health awareness on college campuses. but not only awareness about what a particular challenge may entail, such as anxiety, but it also promotes awareness about what resources are available to deal with that challenge in a healthy and productive way. So I think that Active Minds is incredibly important because mental health across the lifespan is important. So I think that if you can learn to give your mind and your body the respect it deserves early on, especially during a stressful time like college, you're only going to move forward in life with the information that you need to be a healthy and successful person. So I know that I'm certainly proud to be part of a program and a university that places as much value on mental health as I do. So that's me. Yeah.
Thank you, Anna, and really to all of our panelists. We have some time to take your questions. I think just due to the number of people, it might be better to have you type them out in the chat box, and we can just take them one by one.
There has to be a question. Somebody has to have a question about something. I just
Could be
know
to
it.
any one of us.
Please know, all of these guys, thank you again to everybody for joining us tonight too, while everybody's thinking up of their questions. I'll drop my contact information, and then if any of our panelists are comfortable with contact information, feel free to, Brian, you're jumping ahead already. I appreciate it. Feel free to drop your contact information, and then if you have any questions for us along the way, please feel free to reach out to us as well. But again, the panelists are here to answer any questions that you might have, and we have some coming in. So Dr. Riddell, I'm going to turn it back over to you.
Yeah, so the question is about study abroad opportunities. So yes, there are study abroad opportunities where it's through a university program, and there's a number of different locations essentially that you can choose from. And so typically the courses you would take are outside of your major, right? But it's still nonetheless an excellent experience. Yeah, I don't know if any of our panelists have done study abroad and can kind of talk more about it or not. No, none of you have.
I do. When I was at Niagara University, I didn't have a traditional study abroad where you go for a whole semester, but what I did do was using my free electives with the psychology curriculum. I took a philosophy of genocide course, and essentially the whole course was dissecting how genocide happened and our history of that. And then at the end, we did a 2-week study abroad where we did a whole tour across Germany, Poland, and the Czech Republic. So that's one option that you can do at Niagara, as well as those traditional 4-month study abroad. So there's a lot of different types of courses where you can do a 2-week or 3-week trip, or you can go for the whole semester, completely up to your preference. And I thought it was an awesome experience, and I would do it again in a heartbeat.
Yeah, that's one thing I didn't touch on, is that you have with the psychology major, you have plenty of room for a lot of essentially elective courses, which they can be psychology courses, but really they can be any other course, even outside of psychology. So you can take advantage of those and pursue your interests in other fields as well, and also like Courtney said, use them for a study abroad. Mm-hmm. Let me see.
I think Elise has an interesting question.
Oh, do you need a car on campus? I would say not necessarily, not really, because all of the, if you live in the dorms, of course, everything is very close. It's a relatively small campus. Everything is within walking distance. Now, as far as would that limit internship opportunities, you would need some kind of transportation, I think, to a distant internship site. On the other hand, as far as research opportunities, those are all on campus. So that's where our labs are. So that will not limit you in that respect. And I don't know, those of you who have, done internships, has transportation been, a problem for you, or?
I do know that for some of the internships that the impact office on campus, which helps get community service, they will take you to internships. And we do also have the Niagara shuttle. So I know if you schedule it ahead of time, they can also take you to a desired stop, like if it's around the area that they're going. So if you are going to an internship, I'm sure that if you set it up early enough, they can schedule it out so that you have a ride to go.
Yeah, and then also with that, there might be like somebody else who's going at the same time as you. So, whoever's in charge of your internship might be able to set you up with somebody else who might be able to ride share with you, give you a ride with them whenever they go. So definitely just get in contact early about it so that they can set that up for you.
Yeah, and if you don't have a car and you're on campus, there are like other things available, like Niagara shuttle was brought up. I think on Saturdays it takes people like the Factory Lot Mall, I think, which is like a mall in the local area. So if you don't have a car, don't feel like you're stuck, like, and you can't get out. Like, there are buses that run for free. There's also like a paid bus that runs down to I think it's at $2 to ride, goes anywhere in Niagara Falls. So there's definitely ways to get around without a car here.
I can also jump in. I know the one bus that's just like the normal paid bus, but like public transportation, but it takes you to Niagara Falls Memorial Hospital, and that hospital has a ton of opportunities for volunteering, internships in healthcare or counseling. I've done several internships there, and Niagara is really great about giving you course credit for those internships or volunteer work that you do. So, and you can get transportation there as long as you pay attention to the bus schedule.
Thanks, I learned something new. Yeah, I didn't know that they could actually arrange for transportation for you.
Can I jump in about Alex's question real quick? He's
Yeah,
asking about, so Alex, you're asking about research opportunities with animal behavior, specifically marine life. So Dr. Riddell, I work exclusively almost with Dr. Riddell at this point, and Dr. Thompson, and like fish. So we have a fish lab with like a bunch of tanks. We probably have like at this point, I don't know, like 40 goldfish and like normal common goldfish, and then we have like another 6 different type of fish, blackmores and calico fantails. So like we really do look at mostly fish. I mean, I've tried to convince Dr. Riddell to get rats over the last 2.5 years. He will not let me get any, so we are stuck basically with fish at this point. But yeah, we have a lab. I mean, I don't know how local you are, but you could always be in contact. I can even give you like a virtual tour or like an in-person tour, depending on what your situation is. But if you want to talk more about the lab, I've done nothing but work with fish for the last 3 years, so just shoot me an email.
Yeah, and related to that, we had one student who was interested in becoming a veterinarian, and she also worked in the fish lab with Dr. Donna Thompson, and the experience that she acquired were absolutely relevant. She was able to to go on and pursue becoming a vet. And more recently, we also had another student who he stopped at his bachelor's degree, but he was also in the fish lab. And so after he graduated, he started work at the Niagara Falls Aquarium. Right? And so now he was able to get a new position in the 8-Crown Zoo, which is in Ohio. There's definitely opportunities like this. We're always looking for new students to do animal research, and we've had rats in the past. I have resisted sort of Brian's, wanting to get new rats in, but we do have the space and sort of the equipment for those animals. So perhaps, I don't want to count it out, right? Perhaps in the future.
Alex, you can convince him now. I pass the torch to you.
Yeah,
You can
it's on you to convince me.
Tyler, does that answer a good question? I'm going to pose this to two different people. How's everything being affected with the virus, the meaning of internships, further advancement, and then also normal schooling and activities and classes? So I'm going to have Casey or Hope or one of our current students talk about classes right now, and then even if one of you guys are doing internship right now and how that's affecting you this semester. Great question, Tyler.
So I'm not doing an internship this semester, but for my classes, I started out with only one in-person class, and they did switch it online because the entire political science and law department did go online for the semester just to keep everyone safe. But a lot of classes are still doing online or in person. Right now, they're all online for the rest of the semester just because we only have a week and a half left. But they did try to keep freshman students to have as many in-person classes as possible, just so that you guys have a semi-normal first semester college experience. So for my brother, he's actually a freshman at NU right now, so he had 4 out of 5 of his classes in person, but they did just switch all online now. So does anybody have an internship right now?
Yeah, I can speak for the internship. So as I mentioned, I'm at Niagara Orleans BOCES in Newfane. So I will be honest, I was quite concerned about trying to find a placement. I know that because I really wanted to narrow down what I was interested in, I was really shooting for something that's in person. At the time, I remember telling Dr. O, I will take anywhere that will be in person. That's fine for me. And I have to say, I was quite surprised at the different school districts that were willing to take me on in person. I know one district in particular that I was really shooting for was not allowing students to come in. So I think for different areas that aren't willing to, it's most likely because they don't have the space to accommodate for social distancing. One office was just too small to accommodate myself, the counselor, and another student. But there are placements around. I know that a lot of my friends that are in practicum right now, I believe they're all in person, or most of them are. So it is possible. It may just be, it may take a little bit longer just to kind of sort through details, but it is possible.
Yeah, just to chime in as well, as far as how this has affected research, most of our students have been able to continue, doing research meanwhile, including in person. In our fish lab, for example, has been up and running. I have, because I also study people, I have transitioned many of really all of the human studies online. And we have had to postpone some of them. For example, Brian had a really cool project involving virtual reality, but of course, putting on a virtual reality headset is a major risk. So that that just had to be sort of postponed. But there were plenty of other projects that we could essentially adopt and carry out online. So I think on that end, that's been going pretty well. But normally, without the pandemic, really the vast majority, almost all of your courses would be face-to-face. Especially in the psychology department, which is our preferred mode, but we have had to transition online. For this semester and for next semester.
Yeah, and I'd like to mention too, even with being online, all of my professors, and I think many other people can attest to this as well, have been very efficient, even with the short amount of time that they've had to adjust with, work and Zoom classes. I started out with 2 in-person classes and then 4 online classes, and 2 of those online classes were synchronous, and meaning we meet for Zoom every class day, and then the other 2 being asynchronous, basically meaning we don't meet for Zoom. It's more just them talking with us over email or Canvas, and sort of giving us our assignments and explaining things there. So I felt like I had a pretty good mix of everything. which made it a pretty decent semester, even if I couldn't be in person, which I was sad about. All of us are sad about. So yeah, I would say that NU overall has been doing a really good job with still making it very doable online.
Any other questions for Dr. Riddell or any of our other panelists? Feel free to drop them in, but I'm gonna switch to our alumni. I'm gonna give you a few seconds to think about it. But what would be one piece of advice that you would give one of our potentially starting students, whether they're a transfer or a freshman starting at NU? What piece of advice would you give them if they're enrolling at NU? And this could be anything, getting involved, taking a certain course, anything. I'll let you guys decide who goes first. Abby, Courtney, Brian.
I mean, I can jump in. So I think the thing that's been like the most like essential for my growth at NU was definitely not being scared to talk to people around you. Like the professors cannot be more approachable. Like you can walk into Dr. Riddell's office, you know, I think he started locking the door at some point. I'm just kidding. You can walk in there anytime, office hours or not, and he'll answer your question. He'll jump into any topic with you. He always has students in there talking to him, even just for like to ask him how he's doing, really, you know. So it's almost like they're not like people that you can't talk to. Like sometimes students put the professors in a different box, like that they're unapproachable, like they don't want to bother them. They really are here to help you. I think that actually, if anything, they kind of get angry when like students are struggling in classes and they're not coming in and seeking help, because it's like they really do want you to like succeed and do well. So don't feel like you're bothering them. Feel like the real bother to them is like seeing you having bad scores or struggling and you're not reaching out to them and they don't know how to help you, right? So yeah, my number one advice is talk to the students around you in the classroom. They really do want to talk to you. Trust me. They're just as nervous. They want friendship just like you do. And you guys can both like not talk to each other for the next 4 years of your lives. But it's better if you just start out by saying, I know that guy wants to be my friend or that girl wants to be my friend, and just approach them and talk to them, start a conversation. You know, enjoy your time at NU. Don't feel like you're isolated like a student by yourself. Like it's like kind of like a family environment, kind of. I don't want to go too far, but it's almost family like esque. So I would definitely say just get involved.
I can go next. My one tip would be that it is never too late to make a decision about your major or change your mind. So yes, everyone's agreeing with me. So I actually started out undecided in the academic exploration program, and I didn't find psychology until year 2 and decided that that was for me, and that was through exploration. So don't feel pressured right now to throw yourself into something if you're not comfortable making that decision, or try psychology and know that you can go other places from there, or you can double major because there's so much freedom within the curriculum, or take a couple minors. So really, you are in charge of your own path, and that it's never too late. And even if you do switch, you will always be accepted into your major. So, you know, there is like a cohort model where if you start off with a group of people, you follow each other throughout the years. But even transitioning into psychology, it was a seamless transition, and I just fit right in with my fellow psychology peers. So just don't feel pressured and do what feels right for you.
Courtney, the reason I was nodding my head so hard is because I started off as a nursing major, and so somehow I ended up in law school now. But anyways, I think my biggest piece of advice is to remember that that college is an investment, and to play an active part in everything that you do. At the end of the day, whether you have a scholarship or not, it's going to probably cost you some amount of money to be doing this. And so try your best to remember that college really is an investment. And because of that, make the most out of it. Do as much as you can to get all of the benefits that you can out of your education. Join clubs, do internships, talk to professors, build connections. You'll find when you graduate that everybody is all about connections, and it's all about who you know. So remember that at the end of the day, you are investing in yourself, and to try and get as many things as you can out of NU. And I can guarantee you that there are many things that you can get out of this investment from this school, whether you decide to do psychology or not. So keep that in mind.
Thank you. Good pieces from our alumni. Any other last minute questions? I know quite a few of us dropped our contact information in the chat box. Feel free to utilize that with any questions. If you have any admissions questions, please, I am an open book. I dropped my cell phone number in there too. It is literally, it's by my side right here. Feel free to call or text it at any point in time, but Jeopardy and Wheel of Fortune are on now, so I'll probably respond in the morning. But feel free to reach out to us here in admissions. We're here to help you through this process. Dr. Riddell is a prime example of our faculty, so feel free to reach out to us. We have these showcase events to showcase all of these majors for our prospective students and have fantastic, outstanding alumni and current students joining us to tell their story as well. And if nobody, Dr. Riddell, any closing words or anything you'd like to close out on?
Sure. Again, I would like everyone, including our panelists and all of the, all of the students, really, which is who we're doing this for. Thank you again for coming tonight. If you, come up with any questions, feel free to contact us, over email. We can also, set up a one-on-one Zoom appointment if you'd like to talk to me. Kind of one-on-one, you're more than welcome to. We can talk more about the program, the curriculum, or any other questions you might have about college. So, yeah, thank you again.
Awesome, thank you. Huge thank you again to Dr. Riddell. He put together this huge panel, probably one of the best ones I've been on and have heard about. I know my colleagues are jealous, but please continue to stay safe and healthy during this time, and hopefully we'll all be back on campus very soon, including all of our students, for those who are remote right now. And again, feel free to reach out if you guys need anything, admissions or from the psychology department. Have a great evening, and we'll see you soon. Have a good night.
Take care.